People often say Taurus stays because they're loyal, because they love deeply, because they don't give up easily. That Taurus is the sign that endures, that commits, that remains steady when others walk away. But there's a question almost no one asks, and one Taurus themselves rarely allows to surface. What if Taurus stays not because of love, but because leaving would destroy the version of themselves they work so hard to become? What if walking away doesn't just mean losing a relationship, a job, or a chapter, but losing the identity built around it? Because for Taurus, staying is rarely just attachment. It's preservation of self. And this is where their real darkness lives. Not in stubbornness, not in materialism, not in resistance to change, but in a quiet, heavy fear that operates beneath the surface, shaping their choices long before they realize it's there. Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of love, pleasure, attachment, and value. People often focus on the love part, but value is the deeper key. Taurus doesn't simply experience things, they invest in them. When Taurus chooses something, they don't just engage emotionally, they build their life around it. A relationship becomes structure, a job becomes security, a routine becomes safety. Time, effort, consistency, identity, all of it gets poured in slowly and deliberately. Taurus doesn't rush commitment, but once it's made, it becomes part of who they are. And when something becomes part of their structure, losing it doesn't just hurt, it destabilizes everything. Letting go doesn't feel like change. It feels like collapse. This is why the shadow of Taurus doesn't show up dramatically. It doesn't explode. It settles. Taurus notices when something shifts. They feel it immediately. The warmth fading, the attention softening, the effort becoming inconsistent, the respect slipping just enough to register but not enough to confront. Taurus is deeply sensitive to emotional changes, far more than people assume. But instead of reacting, they slow themselves down. They rationalize, they minimize, they explain it away. They tell themselves it's normal, that all relationships go through phases, that nothing stays intense forever, that patience is maturity. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, endurance becomes their personality. The real darkness of Taurus is not stubbornness. It's the belief that suffering is proof of growth, that staying is maturity, that leaving is failure, that strong people don't walk away, they endure. So Taurus endures. They compromise quietly. They adapt without complaint. They adjust their expectations. They shrink their needs. They convince themselves they're being grounded, reasonable, emotionally evolved. From the outside, Taurus looks calm, stable, reliable. People admire them for it, depend on them, trust them. But inside, Taurus is often doing something far more damaging. They are erasing themselves piece by piece in the name of stability. Over time, Taurus learns not to express disappointment, not because they don't feel it, but because they don't want to create conflict. They stop asking for more because they don't want to seem ungrateful. They begin to believe that wanting deeper connection is unrealistic, that wanting affection is needy, that wanting consistent effort is asking too much. And because Taurus can tolerate discomfort better than most signs, they normalize emotional deprivation. They stay in situations that no longer nourish them, not because they don't see the damage, but because the damage feels safer than uncertainty. From the outside, Taurus appears functional. They show up, they meet expectations, they fulfill responsibilities, they keep their word. But inside, many Taurus are tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. This isn't physical exhaustion, it's emotional depletion, a heaviness that settles into the chest, a dullness where joy used to live, a quiet sense that life has become something to manage rather than something to feel. Taurus rarely talks about this exhaustion because they don't want to seem weak, and because admitting it would force them to question the very structures they rely on to feel safe. In relationships, Taurus loves through consistency, through presence, through staying even when it's inconvenient. They show love by not leaving. But the shadow appears when staying stops being a choice and starts feeling like an obligation. When the internal question shifts from, do I want to be here, to how much longer can I handle this, Taurus rarely leaves in anger, rarely leaves during conflict. They leave when they've gone emotionally numb, and sometimes they don't leave at all. They remain physically present while withdrawing internally. They still play their role. They still meet expectations. But the warmth fades. The softness disappears. Intimacy turns into routine. Habit replaces connection. This is why breakups with Taurus often feel sudden to others. One day, everything seems fine. The next day, it's over. No drama, no long explanations, no second chances. What no one saw were the months, sometimes years, Taurus spent grieving the relationship alone, quietly detaching, processing the loss internally, accepting the ending long before it became visible. By the time Taurus leaves, the ending already happened inside them. The most dangerous belief Taurus carries is that this heaviness is adulthood, that life is supposed to feel burdensome, that fulfillment is a luxury, that emotional aliveness is unrealistic. And because Taurus values safety above all else, they will choose emotional discomfort over instability every time. Change doesn't terrify Taurus because they're incapable of it. Change terrifies them because it threatens everything they've built. Starting over feels like chaos, and chaos feels unsafe. Letting go feels like admitting defeat, like admitting their loyalty wasn't enough, that their patience didn't save anything. And that thought cuts directly into Taurus's sense of worth. So Taurus stays too long, loves longer than they're loved, gives more than they receive. They convince themselves this is the price of commitment. But commitment that requires self-erasure isn't devotion. It's quiet self-betrayal. The tragedy is that Taurus often believes this sacrifice makes them strong, when in reality, it slowly drains the life from them. Healing for Taurus doesn't mean becoming colder, less loyal, or emotionally detached. It doesn't mean walking away at the first sign of discomfort. Healing means redefining loyalty. Loyalty should not require abandoning yourself. Stability should not demand emotional emptiness. Endurance is not a virtue if it costs you your inner life. A healed Taurus understands that walking away can be an act of self-respect. That endings don't erase the value of what once existed. That safety should support growth, not suffocate it. When Taurus learns this, something shifts. They stop seeing change as destruction and begin seeing it as realignment. They realize that their worth was never dependent on how long they stayed or how much they endured. They learn that they are allowed to choose a life that feels alive, not just one that feels secure. And when Taurus finally believes that, the darkness loosens its grip. Because the strongest version of Taurus isn't the one who stays no matter what. It's the one who knows when staying is no longer love, but fear, and has the courage to choose themselves anyway.